Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the debut episode of the Tres Anime Podcast. I am your host, Zeolith, and with me here is...
The Black Pearl.
And we're here today to talk about a little anime.
Yeah.
So, I've noticed something about myself I've noticed it for several years now, but I really started noticing it keenly just in the last few months. I was thinking about it, and that's that I'm really, really bad at finishing anime series.
Oh, I see.
I very often start watching anime TV shows, and I never finish them.
You know, I've actually never had a true issue with finishing anime series. I can usually go through
unless you're watching it with me. Then
yes.
We peter out together.
Yeah.
We started Ranma one half, and we petered out pretty well before the end. Admittedly, it's a very, very long show, but we didn't make it that far in.
I've actually made it pretty far before.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
But I mean, I've never finished that show.
But yeah, there were some other ones in there. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. We could always pick it back up again.
Yes.
But we haven't watched much lately. What's that one with the kid who plays the game? March comes in like a lion.
Yes.
And there was some I watched without you that I never, I stalled out on. Code Geass. Geass. But maybe you've had a little more luck than me. I know you watched...
I've watched Kill la Kill.
Okay. To completion.
Oran High School Host Club.
Okay. And what's the one with someone has like silver hair? Inuyasha?
Inuyasha.
Didn't you watch all of that?
Yes.
And did you ever finish Sailor Moon, or did you just watch...
I actually have never finished Sailor Moon, so
okay,
I guess I'm also guilty of...
Sometimes guilty. But yeah, I'm pretty bad about it. Sword Art Online, I never finished. Now I've... There are a few. So together we watched Madoka Magica.
Yes.
I think we watched it twice, actually. I guess we were pretty big fans.
I remember that, yeah.
And without you, I watched a few. There were a few. I watched all like 12 episodes, which explains why I was able to finish them. But I did finish Serial Experiments Lane.
I remember you watching that.
Yeah. I watched Violet Evergarden. I did finish that. And
I watched a couple episodes with you on that.
And I kind of continued. And I finished... what's the one with the kid playing piano? He has the sick girlfriend.
Your Lie in April?
Oh, okay, yeah. Why do you know it and I don't when I
have no idea.
I was about to say Pieces of April, which is actually a Katie Holmes movie from 2004.
Oh, no.
Your Lie in April. So there were a few, but they're vastly outnumbered, about 10-1 by the number of anime TV series that I started and never finished. It's a long list. Beastars.
Oh, no.
I think we quit that one not because we petered out. We just got uncomfortable.
We got very uncomfortable quick.
Got a little weird at the end of the second episode there.
Yeah, I remember we were just like, okay, I think we're going to watch something else.
I want to see no bunny and no bra and panties. But yeah, it even extends back over time also. Like, admittedly, some I consider not my fault. Like, Pokemon has over 1,000 episodes now, so I think I'm off the hook for never having finished that. But, honestly, like a lot of other kids, nerdy boys around, the early 2000s. I was really into Dragon Ball Z, but I've never seen the final arc of that show to completion either. When he's fighting Boo, I've never seen all that. But yeah, so I'm bad about finishing up anime TV shows. But that's where kind of the concept of this podcast came in for me. I was like, you know what I do finish if I start them usually? A movie.
Yes. Yeah.
You put a movie on, unless it's the shittiest thing, unless it's Norbit, then you're probably going to make it to the end of the movie. So I thought, let's, there's a whole world of anime film. When you talk about you're an anime fan, people usually think you're talking about TV shows, but there are thousands of anime films out there. I mean, I've seen not even 1% of them. So there's a whole world of anime movies out there to explore.
There is. There really is.
So I thought that might be a good kind of angle for a podcast. Not a TV show, anime podcast, of which there are many. Let's talk movies. Let's talk 3 movies at a time. It's the Tres Anime Podcast.
That sounds good to me. And just to let you know, there was one in particular anime series that I remember growing up watching, and I did actually complete, which was Vampire Princess Miyu.
Okay, yeah. I mean, definitely in general, I think you're a little better about finishing what you start anime-wise than me.
Yes.
Not 100% of the time, not 100% completion, but better than me. My rate is piss poor. If I start an anime, there's about a 2 to 5% chance that I make it to the end of the show. But
that's fair.
Start a movie, I'd say there's about a 95% chance I make it to the end of the movie. Unless I tap out it so bad. When we watched, what was the one where The Rock is fighting a giant ape? Rampage. That one, I think you actually passed out.
I did pass out.
I just full on just pulled out my computer and just started doing over other shit. I let it play out in the background. I was like, yeah, this is the worst fucking. I don't care to pay attention to the end of this film, but that's the exception. Now we're gonna talk about 3 movies that well, they may have their own issues. Maybe 1 or 2 of them do. We'll talk it over. But I watched them all to completion. You want to get into the 3 movies of the day?
Yes.
Let's just name them off first. They're all very, very recent. They all came out in the last 2 years. Not a requirement of this show. I'm more going to talk about anime going back to the, when did anime start? The 60s?
I believe so.
We'll check it out any era. But it just so happens that this episode we're talking about really recent shows. Really recent films. Apologies.
We're reviewing movies.
Movies, yeah.
Sorry. Man, I blew it.
You tried to flip it on me, but you flipped it on yourself.
Wow, talk about blowing it
motherfucker.
On the first episode, man.
Yeah, which show's canceled.
So the 3 films we're going to be discussing tonight is A Whisker Away, NiNoKuni, and Dragon Quest: Your Story. Bad.
All 3 completely, as of us recording this, all available on Netflix US.
Yes.
To stream at any point you want, which is how we found all 3 of them.
Yes.
Let's just get right into it with A Whisker Away.
好きだよ、太郎。これは私ムゲが大好きな男の子に会うため猫になるちょっと不思議な物語。太郎。お前は太陽の匂いがするな。太郎だったらこんなに好きになってくれるんだね。
Released this year, 2020, and this one actually ties into current ass news events. This film was made to be released theatrically in Japan on the Japanese big screen, and its release was canceled due to the coronavirus.
Oh my god, I didn't even actually know about that.
COVID. Yeah, I just I skimmed this Wikipedia article and found this out.
Okay.
So Netflix bought the rights. They released it in Japanese, I think, a few months ago. Then they, brought in the English actors, did a dub real quick, and I think it was literally we watched it on like the day that they released the English dub because we were just scamming through new, and it said like new English dub released.
I see.
Actually, what it said was now dubbed in your preferred language, which I think is Netflix's way of calling us dumbasses who can't read. But it's fair enough. They're right. I don't watch dubbed anime. I don't watch subbed anime. I want it in English. I don't want to read. I can't read. I didn't learn how to read. I can't. I don't know how to read.
Is that true?
Yes, everything except the reading part.
Oh, man.
But, so Whisker Away, it just came out on Netflix. It was released to Netflix after having its Japanese theatrical release canceled. And it was directed by a director by the name of Junichi Sato. I looked over his filmography. Pretty a long one, going back several decades, but not much I recognized. He directed TV episodes for Sailor Moon, Gundam, Evangelion, but not a ton of movies that really jumped out at me. But A Whisker Away. How about you go into our story a little bit? I saw you have a few nice little notes there.
Well, we both have notes, but mine seem a little bit more detailed than yours.
A little more detailed. First, before we even go to it, let's clear up what we're going to call the main character, because she seems to have a few names.
Oh, man.
Her real name is Mio, but they call her Muge, and she also has a cat form named Taro. So let's stick with Muge for the course of this review.
That's
just
fair.
to be clear. All right,
yes, we got that.
So tell us, Mrs. Black Pearl, what is A Whisker Away about?
Well, Whisker Away is about, and I wrote, and I quote in my own notes, Muge is an annoying middle school girl who goes out of her way for attention, yet hiding a lot of sadness. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of layers actually to this story if you actually, if you pay attention.
It's a real onion.
It's a real It's a real onion. It kind of reminds me of Shrek.
So what happens to Miss Muge?
She makes a deal with a very creepy shopkeeper, is what they said in Wikipedia.
Deal with the devil. Not a human shopkeeper, a giant, fat, talking cat shopkeeper.
He's got rolls.
He's got rolls.
He's got rolls to pay the bills.
He gives her a mask. Tell us about the mask.
So the mask is cat-like, and it's magical. What you can do is you put the mask on and you turn into a cat. And they didn't really explain how long, like, I guess you could be a cat all day, I guess.
I don't think they gave a time limit exactly.
They didn't really give a time limit on
Because there's a part
this.
where she goes to sleep as a cat and wakes up still as the cat, so...
Yes, so they didn't really give you an exact time limit.
So she's got a good old cat mask, and she has a crush on Hinode. Some pronunciation. A fellow middle school boy who, I don't know, I got to admit I'm not sure, at least in the early parts of the movie, what she has her crush on him about, because their personalities seem pretty kind of incompatible to me. She's so peppy and like borderline manic, like she's basically crazy. You know who Hinode would go good with is the girl from When Marnie Was There, because they're both similarly like glum.
Yes,
but I don't really see
agree.
I don't see Muge's thing with him.
I
feel like a peppier like boy would be more the thing.
It's complicated, Tim. Some girls just want to have the quiet, smart,
The shy type.
Exactly.
But anyway, she goes and hangs out with him in cat form, and it's slightly uncomfortable, I found, because he's constantly picking up... Okay, so her cat form is named Taro. And so he's constantly, as he's hanging out with Muge, who he thinks is a cat in the form of Taro, he's constantly picking up Taro and holding Taro's face like 1 inch from his and going like, I love you so much.
You smell like the sun.
And I'm like, is this kid gonna... Is he gonna fuck the cat?
He did ask that while watching the movie.
I mean,
Is he going to fuck the cat?
You don't even have to look at. I think it's in the trailer, man. It's just like, what's this kid and the cat?
The connection.
I mean, I'll
between
snuggle
the
with
cat,
our cats, but
the connection between him and the cat isn't like a typical connection between you and your pet. It's a little bit. It's like a step further.
it creeped me out a little bit. But Muge's into it. The movie doesn't address this, but I mean, I suppose if he's just hanging out with the cat, probably she's like watching him like change clothes. She's watching him take a shit, So
Oh no!
But it just draws them closer.
You had to bring that up, didn't you?
There's this bit where this part felt a little underdeveloped to me, where Hinode he's into pottery, I guess.
Yes,
but
yes.
It felt kind of like a not as good version of Whisper of the Heart, where the kid's he's like making violins.
Yes.
And that was a really well developed subplot, but I felt like this one felt a little tacked on to me. Like a few minutes of the movie are paid attention to it, but when he's like, I really want to be a potter when I grow up, you're like, that seems out of nowhere. You didn't really build that up enough.
And it's part of like their family business, isn't it? Like
like his grandfather does it, or something like that.
So it's a whole thing.
But anyway, so some other shit goes down. So their relationship briefly gets better when she jumps off of a roof of the school to
yes, two little shitheads at the bottom are like gossiping like little girls about Hinode and maybe going to a prep school.
Yeah.
And acting like, and I quote, better than everybody else. And she just,
she gets in there.
Hardcore. She jumps off, like, it looks like it's at least...
It looks like a 30-story building.
Yes. And she goes through a tree.
Yeah.
And she gets pretty banged up. Surprisingly, no broken bones.
But anyway, Hinode he's a little bit cool with her. He's like, that was pretty neat what you did. Let me take you to the nurse, right?
Yes.
But then there's a scene later on where their relationship comes to an issue, and it involves a certain love note.
Oh, God.
So tell us about this scene.
Oh, no. Oh, God. Here's the thing. I kind of relate to this scene.
What, to Muge?
Writing a note to somebody and then getting made fun of.
Get your note exposed.
Oh, my God. It's so embarrassing. She wrote this sweet little note.
You are the sunset or some shit like that.
And the two bullies from earlier manage to get their hands on it, and they proceed to read this in front of the entire class. Now, what I didn't understand is nobody could stop it. Nobody could grab the note. I mean, seriously, like, what the fuck? What the fuck?
But then they read Muge's love note to the class, right? And she's embarrassed. But then Hinode isn't he like, I hate you?
Yeah, so all of a sudden just says, I hate you. Which
I'm like, what the fuck, Hinode?
How did we get from point A to point B?
So I'm looking at that. I'm like, well, that's the end of this relationship. You can't really come back from that.
Is he worth it in the end?
He just doesn't seem like that nice of a guy. I don't know.
No.
I mean, and okay, he kind of rises up later to be a hero, but I don't know. In this moment, I'm kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just like a giant slap to the face.
Muge, maybe you should move on to someone else. I don't know, but so anyway, so that goes down. So then there's another cat, an actual cat, not like the master cat named Kinako, and so Muge agrees to become a cat permanently.
Yes.
Not quite sure why. Can you explain the reasoning there? She agrees to the cat seller who's been trying to get her human face from her.
So I think it comes to a head of, if her crush isn't going to like her in human form, he will like her as a cat and he will love her.
Okay, seems weird to me. I mean, maybe she is banking on the fact that he's going to fuck the cat then, because I'm sure she wants the D, so.
I mean, she's going to get affection whether he knows it or not that she's the cat.
But anyway, so then another cat named Kinako, who's like is it her stepmom's cat?
It's her stepmom,
okay.
and before we get into the cat, there's some interesting things that are happening through the whole movie. She doesn't like her stepmother. She hates her mom, her actual mom, because of her just upping and leaving.
That's no good.
And then there's this kind of weird, it was kind of like a little side note that Muge doesn't like other cats.
Oh, does she not?
No, because
I forgot about that.
Her and her friend are having like ice cream, and a cat comes by, and she just kind of like shoos it away, and it just seems like she's very awkward with cats. And her stepmom is seems like the nicest lady on the planet.
Yeah, she's pretty pleasant to her the whole time.
She comes into the house, and Muge just like shuts the stepmom down immediately. She's trying to like ask about her day, and she's just like, oh, everything's fine, and then like disappears and gets her mask on, and then she's out. But her cat, Kanako, knows what's up.
Smart kitty.
This is a very smart cat. Knows what's up.
Before we get into that, now, as long as we're mentioning the family dynamics, I just want to mention something about the animation in the film. Otherwise good, but is it just me, or was Muge's father drawn too young?
He was drawn too young.
I was like, is that her brother? What the fuck's going on here?
It was almost like he was in college.
He looks like he's drawn to look like 25.
He was a little like, even the stepmom was kind of drawn a little older, but he for some reason like
looks like a boy. Doesn't look like the father of like a 14-year-old or whatever Muge is supposed to be. But anyway, so then Kinako ends up with Muge's human face. Now, things kind of took a slightly different approach than I thought here. I thought Kinako was going to become like the full villain at this point. Like, I won't give you your face back. I have your face, maha. But no, Kinako was actually pretty cool about it. And when Muge, spoiler alert, I'm just telling you, the podcast listeners now, we're spoiling the movie.
Spoiler alert.
As we go through, these are full discussions about the entire film. We might warn before we get to the very ending, but otherwise, so Muge does come to regret giving up her human face.
Yes, she does.
Quite quickly. It only takes a scene or two.
Yes.
She starts losing her ability to understand human dialogue, which I thought was pretty interesting how that was done. It was communicated pretty well.
It was done really well, because it's probably how maybe cats hear us. Maybe not. They're pretty smart.
I don't know. There's literally a cat like 2 feet behind you right now, so you could ask.
Well, she wanted to be near her mom.
But but no, Kanako is willing to work with Hinode to get her human face back. So they journey together to the cat realm. And this is where we get into the Spirited Away type thing, the Chronicles of Narnia type thing, where we go into an alternate fantasy world. What's interesting is that in most movies, like the two I just named, when you go into an alternate fantasy world, it happens at the beginning of the story. In this case, it's really not till about 20 minutes of the movie. We spend most of it in the quote-unquote real world. Then we go to Cat Island,
which is a giant tree.
It's a pretty neat little location. It's like a treehouse city in the sky, populated by cats on 2 legs who live kind of human-esque lives, going to shops, going to bars.
Yes. And there's even a bar for the cats that were once human.
Yeah, that was kind of a neat idea. So is the place ruled by the mask seller? Is he the king there? What was going on?
I don't think he's the king there.
It was a little unclear.
I just feel like, okay, he's just a nuisance. He's just a shopkeeper that just has a lot of power. But I don't think he is the actual one that is in charge of...
I wasn't sure because, I mean, there's...
Yeah, they never really clarified.
Because they, like, attack him to help Muge and, like, get his face back. And it kind of felt to me like they were rebelling against the king. It had that kind of vibe to me.
Yes.
And he has that castle or whatever, that giant room with all those... masks, faces
Maybe
around.
He
so
is
I was like,
in charge.
So I was like, I don't know, it was a little unclear.
It's like,
What'd you think of this whole final sequence? Everyone, and then Hinode comes in to help out, and he gets cat paws. What'd you think of this whole kind of final chase fight sequence?
You know, it was fun the first 5 minutes. It went on a little long. It was like, okay, he's got her. Okay, she's been set free.
Yeah.
Then there's more characters running in.
Yeah.
And then they're set free.
I almost felt like it could have it ended in like this weird little chamber. I don't even have the words to describe it exactly. I felt like maybe it should have ended in that chamber I just mentioned, like that creepy castle over the chasm.
No, it ends in like this weird like room.
It's not a room. It's like outside. It has like a circle barrier
There's like
around
orbs.
Them. And they're all like fighting, and
it just gets a little long.
Yeah, I felt like they could have wrapped it up a few minutes earlier, but you know, it's nice to see Hinode kind of rise to be a hero. Maybe not dislike him quite as much, but so people go back to normal. Basically, Muge goes back to being a human. Kinako goes back to being a cat. Muge and Hinode seem to be together now, but they never like kiss or anything.
No,
he just so through the first part of the movie, Muge is doing this thing where she hits him with her butt, right?
Yes.
She's doing like this butt slam to him.
Yeah,
and at the end, he does the butt slam to her.
And she's like, "Oh my god, I guess."
And then in the end credits, it does it like a book style, where it shows like images and it makes you read like what's going on.
Yes.
These further scenes. So I don't know about that, but any further stuff you want to mention about the events of the film?
Yes. Now we didn't mention why Kanako took the human face.
Why is that?
Okay, so here's what I figured out also with the shopkeeper. If she was to fully transform into a cat, Muge, they take her human life essence.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
And they extend in years, because cats only have a certain amount of years to live. Kanako is completely devoted to the stepmother and wanted to be basically the perfect daughter, because apparently, you know, Muge is being a little shithead.
Yeah.
And so that's why she took the human face, but then realized, I just want to be a cat and I want to always be with her no matter what.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's so I guess the shopkeeper or the mask seller, I'm sorry, but you know what I mean. His goal is to basically be immortal, right?
Yes,
kind of like
much.
Voldemort or something. All right, so that's kind of interesting. So yeah, overall, what did you make of the movie? Like it, not like it, mixed?
You know, I like it because of some of the layers, like, you know, where there's a lot of sadness. You find out that Muge at one point was like, you know, trying to keep herself together when her mom left, and, you know, kids were making fun of her, but she was trying to, like, you know, not cry in front of people, and she's just, you know, being herself. But at the same time, like, for me, if I met somebody that was over energized like that, I'd be like, you need to tone it down. Seriously.
If I was in junior high, I think I would have been annoyed by Muge.
I mean, God bless her best friend. God bless her.
Yeah, she's a good friend. I don't think I wrote down her name here, but she is a good friend to her.
Or she has a best friend. I can't remember her name either, but God bless her, because not a lot of people.
She's very tolerant.
Not a lot of people can tolerate someone who is peppy as her.
Now, her friend never got brought into the magical side of things. No. She never went to Cat Island or anything.
No.
Yeah, you know, I like the movie too. I'd recommend it. I thought it's the kind of thing that it blends kind of fantasy and reality sort of in an interesting way. Like some of the good Ghibli films, like Ponyo or something.
Yeah.
I wonder if maybe they should have gone to Cat Island a little earlier. Or
I think so.
Introduced it at least earlier, like shown other cats there.
Yes.
And then we know it exists before Muge goes there at the end of the film.
Or at least, like, give a hint that something else is up. Because you know how, like, on Cat Island, they can walk on 2 legs and they're wearing clothes and all that kind of stuff. Maybe during, like, there's, like, a festival, maybe she saw one of those cats.
Oh, yeah, that'd be really cool, actually. Spot one, like, them spotting the little creatures in Totoro before we meet,
Yes.
Totoro, something like that. Yeah, that's actually a good idea. So I did like it. I liked the kind of the melding of fantasy and reality. But the big problem with me and why it's not like a full, like, super positive, more kind of middling positive is that just Muge and Hinode, I don't know how much I really rooted for them as a couple. After they were like, isn't he literally, when they read their note, isn't he literally like, I hate you?
Yes, and he says it in front of the entire class.
So I'm like, I don't know. I'm not that into this couple. If the movie just said like, if the movie just dropped the romantic stuff at that point and just went into the cat fantasy stuff, I would have been like fine with it. So I don't know, maybe an issue there, a slight issue fully investing in the romance, but
yes.
But you know, it was fun. I liked Cat Island.
Cat Island was cool.
And you know, the masks, though, he's kind of a neat villain when he shows up, trying to, you know, offer deals with the devil and all that.
Yes.
So overall, yeah, I'd say check it out if you like cats. A lot of cat stuff in the movie, that's for damn sure.
Yes.
And the cat does not die in the end.
No, he just gets beaten up. And
it's not like dog movies where the dog has to die in the end.
Oh, not every dog dies at the end of the movie.
Were there any dogs in this movie? I don't remember them.
No.
Maybe there's 1 or 2 in the background, but it's
maybe. Yeah, but like not in the like front.
It belongs to the cats, that's for sure.
Yes.
But yeah, I'd say you know, give it a look. Issues here and there, but nicely done, nicely animated, fun little fantasy thing.
Yeah.
So you think that's about good on A Whisker Away?
I think so. We can move on.
Shall we move on?
NiNoKuni.
NiNoKuni.
You and I have been friends for most of our lives.
High school students Yu, Haru, and Kotona.
So, you won today's match?
Yeah, of course I did. Hey there, Kotona.
They were the best of friends, inseparable. But then...
Haru! What is this place?
It's an extraordinary world beyond all imagination. NiNoKuni. But this world holds a great secret.
No doubt about it. It's really Kotona.
Here, lives are linked to one another's, intertwined by fate.
The life marked for death is saved, and someone in your world must be sacrificed in their place.
Stop right there! Haru!
I wanted you to be the one I would laugh and cry with.
Just like how you want to protect Kotona, there's someone who I want to protect as well!
Based on the... now, I have not played either of the NiNoKuni video games. I understand this is not a direct adaptation of the plot of either of them. They all take place in the world of NiNoKuni. So but it's 3 different stories. The 2 video games and this film, all different stories, just set in the same world. So
I didn't even know this was a video game.
yeah, it came out a few years ago. I have never played it. As I understand, it used the Ghibli art style and involved like Ghibli animators helping to make it, and it was pretty popular when it came out. I heard less about the sequel, so I wonder if maybe it wasn't as good, but I do remember a good number. Gosh, I should have this info in front of me, but it was a while back. It was like 2011, 2012, something. The NiNoKuni video game came out, and it was pretty popular at the time. I remember a lot of people saying, if you like anime, you'll love this game. But anyway, NiNoKuni, and this one did have didn't get COVIDed. It had a real release last year in Japan, and this year, I believe, straight to Netflix in the U.S. 2020. It was directed by Yoshiyuki Momose, who and this guy actually does have a pretty he hasn't directed a lot of films, but he's been one of Hayao Miyazaki's kind of right-hand dudes for a long time, and I mean going back decades. Go through his IMDb profile, you'll see he was involved in a number of different jobs involving including key animator, art, storyboarding, visual effects for, just go through it. Grave of the Fireflies, Only Yesterday, Porco Rosso, Pom Poko, Whisper of the Heart, Spirited Away, and beyond Ghibli, he also worked on Mary and the Witch's Flower.
Ooh, that's a good one.
The post-Ghibli movie. So I guess I just said he's one of Hayao Miyazaki's guys, but looking over this list, actually, yeah, most of these movies actually aren't Miyazaki. It's only Spirited Away. So yeah, I guess just kind of a general Ghibli guy who's very involved in this, but hasn't directed a ton of stuff until NiNoKuni. So
are we gonna review Grave of the Fireflies?
Maybe one if we ever want to watch it again. It's
Oh man,
good. You don't want to watch it. It's in that.
it's not one you want to be like, I'm gonna watch it again in a week.
It's in that pianist Hotel Rwanda category. You're just like, it's good. I don't want to watch it.
Yeah.
But maybe one day I want to maybe try to get away, because I feel like tons of people talk Ghibli.
Yes.
I want to maybe try to get into some kind of more undiscussed stuff. But anyway, NiNoKuni. You want to tell us about the story NiNoKuni, Ms. Pearl?
Well, let me tell you about when I first saw the trailer. I thought the trailer, for someone who didn't even know like anything about the video game history or anything like that, I thought it was something where it was like a one soul, two body sort of thing. So whatever happens in one world is happening to another person in the other world. And it turns out it's a little more complicated than that.
So this is also portal fantasy in the Narnia vein, where we go from the real world to a fantastical world.
Yes.
With these two characters named Haru and you.
Oh my god.
Very confusing, because characters use the word you, Y-O-U
so many
often.
times.
Then they also talk to the character you. So it's like you.
I think by the end of the movie, I was wanting to call him like Clark or something,
Maybe they should have changed the name. But anyway, so the world is called NiNoKuni. The kingdom they go to, I believe, is called Evermore.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And before we go into it, we should talk about Yu and Haru themselves in the real world. They're best friends. Haru's kind of a basketball star. Yu is a kid in a wheelchair. And Haru has a girlfriend named Kotana.
Kotana, yes.
Who maybe Yu has a little crush on, it seemed like.
I don't want to say a crush. He is in love with her.
Oh, shit.
He is in love with her. That a crush is like, oh, he's so cute and everything. But he is in love with her. If it was his way, he probably would try to date her.
Oh, yeah. No, I think there's no doubt about that.
And she's a little bit of a tease as well. Like she's
kind
of a little threesome kind of.
I think she likes it. She likes the attention. So we're in the real world. They're going to basketball game. They're awkwardly not getting you up the stairs to go to the shop, and it's real uncomfortable for everyone.
It's real uncomfortable, man.
And then a demon comes out with a dagger and stabs Kotana.
So it's interesting. Okay, so how this all ends up playing out with her getting stabbed is, okay, so they go to some crepe shop.
Yeah.
And then everyone's kind of going home. And when she gets followed by this guy, she's been trying to call her boyfriend.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And he's not answering the phone.
They know the fucking police in Japan, I guess.
I don't know. Don't ask me where they are right now. She calls her friend. She calls you, and she's in a panic. She's like, I'm, someone's following me, and she asks the kid in the wheelchair to come and get her.
Yeah. And he does.
And he does. He is.
He has his sister load him up someone he lives with. I can't remember.
They didn't really clarify that.
Maybe they did, but I missed it.
Yeah.
She drives him on out, and he finds her.
I mean, he is out of bed, in a wheelchair, in the car, looking for her. He's like fully committed to this.
He's just a few seconds too late, though. She gets stabbed, man.
She gets stabbed.
Like I was
bad.
like, "What's this guy gonna do? Is he gonna hassle her? Is he gonna
No, he
bug her? No, he takes a knife
her.
and he puts it in her goddamn
And it's
heart.
like a good size knife.
Don't even show like blood or something. It was a little ruthless.
A good size knife.
But anyway, then Haru and Yu almost get in a traffic accident, and then they get swept to the fantasy world of NiNoKuni.
Don't forget that Haru got upset that that Yu was holding her.
Oh yeah, why are you holding her like that? Is this the time? Is this the pertinent issue?
She's got this giant dagger in her gut. Is this really the time?
It'd be like if you just broken your arm and then you got like a splinter. You're like, shit, I got a splinter. It's like, focus on the main issue here.
So as they're trying to haul her to the hospital, which again, why didn't they call like an ambulance or something? Yeah. They end up getting kind of whisked away to NiNoKuni. Is that what?
It's a little non-specific how. It's not like they go through a wardrobe or anything. Just some cars drive by them and they're there.
And they're there, and they're total wardrobe change.
Yeah. Now, if there's one thing I will say in this movie's credit is that I think the visual design of the NiNoKuni world is really good. All the fantasy creatures look really good. The town looks really good. It's great animation, the kind of classic Ghibli style.
Yes.
You can instantly tell the guy worked on Ghibli movies who directed it. And all the animal people look good. Castle looks great. They go to this tavern. They watch the stripper go nuts for a while. She doesn't care that they're just kids, and she's pretty hot.
Yes.
But then they decide to go on to the castle and meet the Princess Astrid. Princess Astrid, she looks like Kotana.
She's also laying in bed.
Yeah, she's messed up.
She's pretty sick.
And then he just strolls on up. He's like, it's all good. It's all good. I just take this little magical dagger out of your chest that only we can see, and then Astrid's just fine.
And Haru is very jealous as to why he was able to do that.
Yeah, he's a little miffed. So we got a few other characters at court. Really just a couple. We have Astrid's father, the king.
The most confused man on the planet.
He doesn't seem intelligent. Anytime anyone tells him something, that instantly becomes his opinion. He's like, these boys are clearly, these boys have Astrid's best well-meaning at heart. And he's like, yes, you guys are heroes. And
these boys are terrible.
He's like, you're under arrest. They could just tell him like, your favorite flavor of ice cream is chocolate. And
no,
he'd be like,
sir.
He'd be like, yes, my favorite flavor is chocolate. Actually, your favorite flavor is strawberry. My favorite flavor is strawberry. And then I can't remember this dude's name, but we got this Minister of Magic, clearly a good guy. He's about as much so as Jafar in Aladdin is clearly the good guy. He's like, he has the evil anime guy face, and he narrows his eyes.
I was just about to say.
He goes, very interesting. That kind of thing,
What I've always noticed...
Thank you for saving Princess Astrid.
Oh, God, that's pretty good. What I've noticed throughout anime shows and movies is if they're a villain, they have a specific look.
Evil anime guy face. Yeah.
They always have a specific look. With this guy, he looks kind of like a nerd.
Yeah, he's got glasses. It's a little unusual for... Doesn't he have, like, pink hair or something?
He's got, like, pink hair.
Glasses and pink hair.
And he's wearing this, like, really huge robe, and he's probably, like, skinny as all get out. Yeah. And they always have, that specific look of an evil anime person. Yeah. Or they're wearing, like I think in, for example, Dragon Ball Z, I think, like, there's an evil version of Goku, and he's got, like, an earring.
Oh, yeah. Evil anime.
Evil anime, man. They got some specific looks you gotta qualify for.
But anyway, so they save Astrid, and up until this point, it kind of seems like Yu and Haru are both the main characters, but now Yu kind of breaks that head because Haru goes to bed for a while, and then Yu goes and watch Astrid skinny dip for a while.
Yeah,
she's doing some magic rituals and shit.
It looks like she's supposed to, like, they have her wearing a swimsuit, but it's so obvious that she's probably naked in this lake that's supposed to, like, help cleanse her body.
Yeah. So anyway, he goes and they go on an airship. Very cool. Very cool. Not very well integrated in the rest of the plot. You'd think an airship would have more usage in the war that happens later than they'd never really use it for. But anyway, then Haru and Yu get back up in the morning, and then the Minister of Magic's like, yeah, I've decided these guys are bad now, so they're going to fight to the death in this gladiator shit.
But it's a reward.
Yeah. So then they bust out, like, the top-level fighting skills, and I was like, that was random.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's like Sword Art Online or something, where they have all these skills in the alternate world.
I've only watched the first season.
I watch a little more than you, but that's okay. But so then they get whisked back to the real world.
Yes.
Where turns out Kotana has a whole different set of issues than the dagger now.
So first she gets stabbed, and then she has cancer.
She got the cancer.
She got the cancer.
She got fucking cancer. So then Haru somehow decides that wrong movie, man.
Oh, man.
I've gotten all mixed up here. No, all these names throw me for a loop.
It's you, man. It's you.
No, he decides that Kotana and Astrid their life forces aren't linked, but are opposites, like magnets pushing against each other.
So like whatever happens in one is affecting the other.
The opposite will happen. So they saved Astrid, so he believes that's why Kotuna is dying.
Yes.
So he goes back to NiNoKuni to kill Astrid now. And
Jesus.
And he's not subtle about it. He puts on black armor, black spiky armor. He teams up with a bunch of demons.
They somehow like separate them.
Yeah.
And so
Yu's still at the castle.
Yu is at the castle, and Haru is with these like demons.
About the fucking demons, man.
And they give him like special armor and everything, and they're like, "Yes, we feel your pain." And
it's a pretty quick flip because we have Haru. He's like a pretty normal kind of high school kid, having some adventures, but pretty normal guy. And like 5 minutes later, I believe he's all in black spiky armor, and this demon lord's like, "You must strike down your friend," and all. And Haru's all like, "I will obey my lord," or something like that.
Oh my God, Tim! I forgot what key thing we forgot to say.
What's that now?
In this world, you can walk.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And there's a whole scene where he just like casually is walking, and Haru is like, "Hey, you're walking." And he's like, "Oh my God, I am."
It's a pretty good thing. It's kind of, I guess I compared it to Sword Art Online. Maybe the better comparison would be like the Matrix, where like they have kung fu skills when they go to here they have sword skills.
Yeah.
But it's a little different because there's no like digital projection themselves. They're just going through a portal. So I don't see why they have extra skills, but they do, whatever.
Yeah, I guess that's how it is.
But anyway, then there's there's kind of a big little war thing. Some of the characters fight. There's this one swords mistress kind of knight lady who gets in some fights, and
oh yes,
then they get flung back to the real world for a little while, and then they don't do much there. They just go back to NiNoKuni again, and then we're gonna meet our true villain. It's the Minister of Magic.
No,
didn't see that one coming. Didn't see that one coming. It's incredible.
We saw that coming.
So yeah, then they just fight him for a whole bunch of time, and it gets a little bit Dragon Ball Z. He keeps revealing his new final forms and new, more powerful attacks.
So get this, everybody. If you watch Game of Thrones, you'll get it. It was like a Theon Greyjoy situation where he went to live in the north.
He was a ward.
And this guy is basically that. Except if Theon kind of succeeded in being the way the Minister of Magic was.
Yeah, so he's went to live at this other king. He's the king's brother.
Yes.
And he went to live at some other kingdom. Then the king's Nino Evermore killed someone in his family or something?
Yes, his wife and kid.
Yeah,
he had a family. Everything was fine, and then his family got destroyed.
So anyway, then he decided to do this whole plan, but it's kind of convoluted because it turns out that he has these ultimate magical powers. Like he can turn into this giant demon, summon bolts, and so if you can do all that, why don't you just come on in and just kill the king and be like, well, I'm taken care of. I can just walk out now. No one can kill me.
Because he wanted to
do this
get close, I guess.
This whole plan. Yeah, it's one of those things where I don't get why he did this convoluted shit for years when seems like he could have just taken over the kingdom with his awesome magic.
I can see that.
But anyway, so they beat him. Actually, Haru gets the final blow on him, if I recall right, which is a little surprising. It turns out that no, Astrid and Kotuna are not linked and are opposite in that way. And Haru goes back to the real world, but Yu decides to hang out at NiNoKuni and skinny dip with Astrid for the rest of his life.
He actually gets crowned.
Yeah. And then everyone in the real world forgets Yu. Memories of him are erased, except for Haru.
Except I don't think... They ended it kind of weird.
How's that?
Remember, he was like, it was always you.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, there's this... This whole scene is weirdly dubbed.
It's so bananas.
There's this flashback we go to in a junkyard when they first meet, where Yu rescued Haru from a rabid dog. So the actual script for at least the dubbed version is weirdly written in this scene. There's a bit where we see young Haru running from a dog, and he says, "My legs, they're moving by themselves."
They're moving by themselves.
What the fuck? What are you talking about?
It's so funny.
What is this it really seems to me like it's not supposed to say that. Like they mistranslated the Japanese.
I think that's what happened.
Like what does that line mean?
Along with you're being manipulated.
You're being manipulated. I mean, that was at least speaking literally. It was bad writing, but I was like, I get what they're saying. But anyway, so the end of the movie, Haru does this whole monologue where he's like, you, or that is why you, the character, were always from the other world. And I'm like, was he? What?
So I think...
Are you being literal, or is this a metaphor?
I think you is from the other world, but then here, if he is, are you saying that this guy could have walked the entire time and we just posed in a wheelchair?
Maybe. He probably would have gone up the stairs after Kotana if that was the
I know,
case.
he probably looked around and been like, all right, I can get up now, but...
Yeah, sometimes I felt like the maybe the dub script was a little rushed.
It was
I don't
a
know.
little rushed.
Some of the voice acting a little, I don't know, maybe not quite on the caliber of some Ghibli stuff, at least the English version. But yeah, so overall I'd say I kind of enjoyed it just because I'm a fan of the whole cheesy fantasy aesthetic, going to a magical medieval kingdom of alternate races and monsters and wizards and knights and that kind of thing. But there are definitely pretty legitimate criticisms. How predictable and obvious the identity of the villain is a little. If they should have either gone to one extreme or the other. It should have just been like Jafar from Aladdin, where he's introduced as the villain, like he's just an evil guy.
Yeah.
Or like tried to make it so it was a true surprise to us, the audience. They kind of landed in a lukewarm middle ground, where it's like, yeah, we know what's gonna happen, guys. We know who the villain is. But they didn't quite commit to it. But
no.
But so I'm a little mixed on it. I did like the ending. I like that you stayed in the other world, but I'd say it's a mixed bag. But I'd lean towards the enjoyable. I really like the visuals in it. I
Yes,
thought it
the
looked
visuals
good.
were really good.
So what do you think of it overall?
I actually really kind of like this movie, despite its flaws.
Okay, tell me what you liked.
The some of the terrible quotes that were in it. The confused king.
So you liked
of
it in a
course.
so bad it's good way?
It's so. I mean, okay. The visual of it is fantastic. I think it was great. Sometimes I felt like the dialogue could have been a little bit better.
Now I wonder if that's the Japanese dialogue was the same, or if it's just a poor dub.
Yes.
It's an important question.
Yes. Who knows? What about you? How do you feel?
Like I said, I enjoyed it from a cheesy fantasy perspective, but I don't think it has necessarily the depth of some of the best Ghibli stuff. This is not Spirited Away in on any level,
I mean, does look like Haku.
Which one is Haku again?
Haku is the one who works in the bathhouse that turns into a dragon.
Oh yeah. Very, like I said, the straight up Ghibli designs. Every character you look at, they're just still a little bit recognizable,
I do have something to confess about Haku.
What was that?
I thought he was really cute when that movie first came out.
Oh my goodness, you had a little anime crush.
Everyone gets an anime crush here and there.
A little anime crush. I definitely, when I was young, I liked watching Sailor Moon just for the scenes where they were naked when they transformed.
That is a typical boy thing.
I was like, oh yes. Wait, you're watching a girl? You're watching a girl show? I'm like, no, I'm watching these naked chicks.
I'm just watching this, and then I'll be
these naked chicks. Then I'll get back to Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon and Digimon and all that good stuff. There's another show I actually finished, Digimon. I finished several seasons of it. Not everything. There's a shitload of seasons now.
Yes, there are.
I've watched a few to completion, but overall, I'd say a NiNoKuni, fun kind of Narnia type thing.
Yeah.
With issues, definitely.
With issues.
So give it a little bit of a thumbs up.
I'll give it a thumbs up.
Give it a thumbs up. All right. How about we'll maybe move on to
Oh no.
How about speaking of movies, we maybe point our thumbs pretty firmly in a certain direction for.
Oh God!
Let's move on to a third movie here. We're going to talk about on the Tres Anime Podcast debut episode. This is a CGI animated anime by the name of Dragon Quest: Your Story.
Me? The hero?
Find the Zenithian sword and seal the gates to the Dark World.
You clearly can't beat him alone. You're alive!
Encounters and farewells, scores of trials, and the strongest foe.
Claudia! You'll pay for this!
Dragon Quest, your story.
Released 2019 in Japan, this year in the US, directed by Takashi Yamazaki, who I also didn't recognize much of the work of. He worked on Parasite and Lupin. Not much else I recognize.
I've heard of Parasite.
Yeah, it looks a little freaky, but
It does look a little freaky.
But yeah, Dragon Quest, your story. It's
Oh my god.
It's interesting. I feel like we're gonna get into this. I feel like we almost have to do two different reviews of this movie. One review of the first roughly 80 to 85 minutes of it, and then a whole different review for the last 10 minutes. Because, yeah.
We'll get to it.
Well, let's how about this? Let's table the last 10 minutes for just a little while here while we pretend it doesn't exist and talk about the first 90% of the movie. Does that sound good?
That sounds good.
Okay.
All right, people. Sit down. Buckle up.
Okay, so, well, first, Dragon Quest is, of course, a very long-lasting, famous video game franchise. It's been around for about 35 years now. I kind of get I don't consider myself an expert necessarily in Dragon Quest. I don't know as much about it as I do about, say, Final Fantasy or Zelda. I haven't played all the games. I've played a fair amount over the years. I would kind of get the impression that here in America, probably the most popular Dragon Quest games are maybe the very, very, very first one, the regular Nintendo one, which we see people playing on Twitch all the time. Seems to be a very popular streaming game. And maybe the very most recent one, Dragon Quest XI, which really brought the graphics and presentation, voice acting of the series to a modern day level it had never seen before.
You know, just an FYI, everyone, I am also new to this whole some animes being based on video games, so
Yeah.
I'm also learning this information along with you guys, just so you know.
But and I feel like I just kind of skimming through online stuff, I get the impression that in Japan, the most popular Dragon Quest game, and thus one of the most popular games in the country, because it's a very popular franchise, might be Dragon Quest V, which the first 90 minutes or so of this film is a very direct adaptation of. This is Dragon Quest V, the movie, or it pretends to be, but we'll get into that. So this is a direct adaptation of the game. I have played the game one time, a good while ago. I wouldn't say, again, I'm not an expert on Dragon Quest V, but I have played it. So you start as you playing this little kid. He's born to this, I believe the name Luca he's given here, it is made up. You do give him your own name in the game, but he's got his dad, Pancras.
Oh, Pancreas?
Pancreas, his dad Pancreas. So we actually see the pixel art version of the game, the first scene of the game, which is the kid being born. And then you play as the kid, you go on adventures where you meet a couple of these girls, you meet this cat, and then your father is, he follows you into a dungeon, and this villain, Ladya, this kind of demon king, puts a scythe to your neck, Luca's neck, and forces Pancras to stand there while these demons kill him. And this scene plays out 100% identically to the game as the movie. Then we cut forward, as in the game and the film, with Luca and his friend Prince Harry.
It's Prince Harry.
Prince Harry, growing up as slaves under Ladya, escaping, and then now the movie kind of skims through various adventures real quick. There's like dungeons and stuff in the game where you go and get stronger, and then eventually you pick a chick to marry. In the movie, he picks Bianca over Princess Nira. He picks this Viking-looking chick, blonde Bianca. In the game, you get to pick who it is, and it turns out, as in the game and the film, you're not the hero, but Luca's not the hero. It's his son, him and whichever girl you pick. In the movie, it's Bianca, and they have a son named Alice. Alice. Not Alice. Alice.
Alice. What I've noticed about this entire movie is, okay, it would have like a few scenes with the characters, and then it would have a montage.
Yeah, and kind of what those montages are doing is they're filling in the gaps where in the game you'd explore the world, level up, go to various dungeons, fight some bosses, and they're kind of like, okay, here's where we're not doing so much plot. Skim to the next plot point. Those plot points being, meeting Bianca, going to fight Bjorn, the demon thing, having the kid, getting frozen in stone, and then the whole family meets up, goes together, fights Ladia, saves the world. And I will say that this is up through a certain point. This is probably the most accurate video game adaptation I've ever seen, which makes what happens worse.
Oh my god.
But okay, so there are a lot of video game adaptations before that, for better or worse, make up their own stories, right? The Super Mario Bros. Movie, have you ever seen it?
Yes, I have.
It's pretty bad.
Yes.
It does not follow the plot of any Mario game.
Yes.
Final Fantasy, The Spirits Within, you ever see that?
I feel like I have seen that, actually.
Yeah, also doesn't follow any Final Fantasy game. Sonic the Hedgehog, we just watched recently. I actually kind of liked it, but that's not the plot of any Sonic game,
Oh my god, baby Sonic is so cute.
Poor baby Sonic. The Prince of Persia movie with Jake Gyllenhaal.
I did not see that.
It doesn't accurately adapt the Prince of Persia game. Dragon Quest Your Story, up until a certain event happens, is very accurate. The story is accurate.
Oh my god.
The characters are accurate. The visual look is accurate. All the monsters are monsters straight from the game. The characters straight from the game. The look straight from the game. The music is all straight from the game. There's moments when we were watching it when you're like, why are you laughing? And I'm like, because that music's from the game.
It's like he finds an item and it's...
Yeah, that kind of thing. His little friend Sancho is from the game. The going to meet the friggin' fairy or whatever. That's from his cat, Percy, who he meets as a child and comes to save him straight for everything. This is the plot of the game, Dragon Quest V. Very accurately adapted, right down into the cheesy ass spell names, kafrizzle, kasizzle, the sound effects, everything. It's all there. So again, we're gonna ignore what happens in the last 10 minutes. What did you think of, if you can, what did you think of the movie up until Ladia was defeated?
Oh my god.
If you can.
If I can.
If you can pretend the ending doesn't happen, what did you think of the movie up to that point?
Okay, for someone who has never played the games, never even heard of the games, I think it works. It definitely works. Like, I got the story. I got where everything was coming from, at first I was a little thrown with the pixelated stuff because I thought, is the movie going to be like this?
Yeah, you were like, let's watch something else.
I was like, oh. And then as it kept going, then you see, him growing up with his dad and then losing his dad, which is always heartbreaking.
Yeah, and that scene straight from the game, very exact same.
And, and then he had, he lost his dad, he had met Prince Harry, and Prince Harry is kind of a little turd, but, you're like, okay, whatever. And, they grow up together, they're slaves together, they escape together, eventually, they go their separate ways, and, all this stuff is kind of happening. It's easy to follow.
And it worked for you?
It worked for me. It
What'd
was
you think
very
of
easy to follow.
The Luca, Bianca, Nira love triangle?
It was interesting.
Were you happy that he went with Bianca?
It was pretty good that he went with Bianca.
She's feisty.
She is feisty. I mean, I guess you get to choose your wife.
Your chick in the game. Yep, you sure do. And if you choose the princess, you have a blue-haired child instead of a blonde-haired child.
Interesting. So, yeah, it was, up until the last 10 minutes of the movie, it was good. It was for someone, like I said, for someone who had never played the games, it was really easy to follow.
You were with it?
I was with it, yeah.
You were with the plot. I felt like the CG animation, it was of reasonably high quality, maybe not quite like, 2020 Pixar level, but it was good enough. I think that the dubbing, they struggled a little bit. Dubbing was a little off. For some reason, I felt like the character of Prince Harry in particular, his voice never really seemed to be coming from him to me.
Yes. I think you and I made a comment about that during the movie.
And I also thought that Ladia, I was like, is that Mark Hamill?
Yeah.
And we actually pulled up IMDb and looked it up.
It was not.
This is a good kind of Mark Hamill Joker facsimile,
Yes.
though. So as like I said, not like a hardcore fan of Dragon Quest V. Like if you were talking about classic RPGs, I'm a hardcore fan of. You'd be talking about like Final Fantasy VI, for example. Now that one I'm super into, Chrono Trigger. But as someone who played the game once upon a time, I was like, yeah, this is a really like close video game adaptation or anime adaptation of the video game. That's kind of neat,
Yeah.
It might not have had an impact on you in that way because you weren't familiar with the story, but this is a story that I've been familiar with the basics of for 20 years now, growing up as a kid. Father killed, slave, escape, marry girl. Your kid is the legendary hero, not you. Whole family gets together, Ghost kills the Demon King, roll the credits, happy ending. And that's what the movie was. Great. So we've talked Dragon Quest, your story. We don't need to talk about any more of it. We've talked about that's the whole movie. That's the whole, it's done.
Oh, Zeolith. We have to talk about that last 10 minutes.
Oh.
I know.
That's right.
I also am not happy about this.
I blocked it out. You see, I had like a traumatic memory.
If I was a hardcore fan, I would probably bomb this movie.
I cannot even begin to express the rage that I would feel if I was someone who Dragon Quest V was my favorite game of all time, and I was so excited to see this movie. How angry I would be.
He was really pissed. He really was.
And I'm not even like I said, it's a game I played once about 20 years ago, and you saw how mad I was.
Yes, I was just thrown for a loop.
Okay, let's stop talking around it. Why don't you just tell us what happens after they defeat Ladia?
Okay, so they defeat Ladia, and they're about to close the portal that he had opened up.
Yeah.
And Alice decides to throw the enchanted sword. So he throws the sword through the portal, and this pixelated weird thing comes flying out of the portal. And Luca is the only one who can move around every
pixelated thing.
Luca is the only one who can move around. Everybody else is like frozen in time and everything. And here's a giant slap in the face. It is this thing called a virus or a glitch.
No glitch.
And he is like, this isn't real.
And then he starts dissolving things into pixels and polygons.
He's saying, this isn't real. You're in a simulator thing.
This is a video game.
This is just a video game. You've been playing this for who knows how long. You just need to grow up, loser. Oh my god, it was like.
Then Luca wakes up and he was playing a fucking video game.
He was playing a fucking video game, and it's like, excuse me?
So none of this was real. So what I had likened this to is so then there's like this weird little montage where he's like, you got Dragon Quest V as a child and you played it and you loved it. And so what I liken this to is, imagine after watching the Lord of the Rings trilogy for 11 hours when Frodo has the ring over the river, over the lava, and Sam's like, throw it in, he turns and he goes, the ring is mine. Imagine if instead of that, he'd gone, wait, what's that? And the camera pounded around to show Peter Jackson and a film crew there and the lighting. And then it turned back and Frodo went, wait, I'm Elijah Wood. And looked at the camera and went, this is just a movie. And Peter Jackson went, oh, wait, what do you keep doing with the scene? And he went, no. This isn't real.
This isn't real.
I know you liked the Lord of the Rings movies, the books as a kid, but grow up. And then he just walked in the trailer and closed the door. And that was how Lord of the Rings ended. That's how I felt about the end of Dragon Quest, your story.
I just felt like the comment about growing up was
loser.
Wrong. It was wrong.
And there's like a little thing tacked on the end where he goes back, confronts the glitch, and says, no, I'm going to finish the game. Then he finishes the game, and then he's standing on the cliff with Bianca, and he's like, well, the game's over. So, but the movie's already been ruined at that point. Completely, utterly.
You can't just go back.
Utterly ruined. And, okay. I was reading IMDb reviews, and there were a lot of 1-star reviews, 2-star reviews out of 10, saying basically what we're saying. But then there were like people giving it like 8 and 9 and 10 stars, being like, "Oh, I love Dragon Quest, and this ending was beautiful. It made me cry." I'm like, if you feel that way, I mean, you have the right to,
Yes.
you know. But if you feel that way, you and I have ideas about fiction, the entire medium of expression of fiction, what it's supposed to be, what it's supposed to do that cannot be reconciled. If you like this ending, you do not feel the same way about fiction that I do. It's one thing if you're watching a comedy. If you're watching Wayne's World and Wayne turns and speaks to the camera, great. If you're watching Ferris Bueller, Ferris talks to the camera, that's cool. If you're watching a movie that's presented as a story in its own universe for the first 90% of it, 95% of it, I want it to stay that way. I want it to stay that way.
This movie was, like, for those of you that think that was good, I'm sorry, but it's just wrong. It was just wrong.
And here's the thing, it's made worse. It's made worse by the fact that until that point, it was so accurate to the game. This wasn't like a Super Mario Bros., Final Fantasy The Spirits Within, Prince of Persia, Doom thing where it's just, you know, way off. Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter,
Yes.
where it's all these video game movies where it's just way off course. So one of those had done something like that at the end, I'd be like, well, that's kind of funny. Who cares?
Yes.
But this movie, it was so accurate up till that point. It was Dragon Quest V on screen as a movie, and then they just like pulled their fucking pants down. They just took a shit all over it, and we're like, what? Why? Like, what were you trying to accomplish? Can you look into the mind of the writers and filmmakers of this for me?
Please.
Like, Pearl, what were they trying to accomplish?
They're just being assholes.
I guess so.
They're just being
Were
I
they
don't
like
know,
trying
maybe-
to tell Dragon Quest fans to grow up?
I don't. That is a complicated question, and I can't tell you. But I can tell you this: it was a kind of a giant fu to us. It really was, or to anyone who plays video games.
Or yeah, to any Dragon Quest V fan out there, certainly.
It was unnecessary, and maybe they thought they were being clever with it, but really, for someone who doesn't know the games and doesn't know anything like that, that's a giant fuck you to me.
I mean, even as someone who would put 90 minutes into the world of the movie,
I just, oh God, it really did just piss me off.
that's just not how storytelling works. You don't say, nah, this wasn't real at the end. Like, of course we know it's not real.
Yes,
we know we're watching a movie.
We don't need to.
When I put in fucking Wonder Woman, I don't think Wonder Woman's real.
Yes.
I know it's not real.
You know,
you don't need to tell me it's not real.
exactly. For me, it would be like, okay, Legend was starring, Tim Curry, Tom Cruise, with unicorns and the devil and everything. It's like if at the end when Jack is going to defeat the darkness and Tim Curry's character just turns around and says, "Oh, don't worry, I'm not Satan-like character."
He takes his horns off.
And he takes his horns off. And he's like, "Don't worry, it's not real. Well, you just grow up, get out of here." It didn't need to happen.
There's only one piece of fiction we've also watched in recent years that I can kind of compare to this. A completely different genre, no fantasy, no wizards, no warriors. Do you remember the musical drama soap opera Nashville?
Oh, yeah.
At the end of the last episode.
Oh, yes.
Of that.
Oh, my God. Is this a thing?
They broke the fourth wall, and
Why
all
is
the
this a
actors
thing?
addressed the camera and thanked us for watching.
They're like, "Thank you from our family to yours. Thank you for watching this show."
The like dead characters from the show got on stage and stuff.
At first I was like, "Oh, okay." Some people are coming back to sing, and then it was like everybody, all the cast, everyone.
That's the only real comparison I can think of to this. Where I don't know, just I get that it's not real, but for the duration of the time I'm watching it from the beginning to the end credits, you want me to believe it's real. That's how fiction works. Like, if I'm writing a novel, I'm not going to put a little thing at the beginning of each chapter that says, by the way, this is a novel. This isn't real. Grow up, loser.
Grow up, loser. It just pissed me off. And then you couldn't enjoy the rest of the movie.
No,
because this
threw everything.
Because this thing happens and then it just kind of goes away and
you can't take it back,
You can't take it back.
You can't fucking take it back.
You can't take it back. But I will say this. That slime is the most adorable looking slime throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, the slime has been an icon of Dragon Quest since...
he is so, or she, I don't know, is it a boy?
I think it's
girl?
he. Gootrib,
he
whatever
is
Gootry.
Adorable. I want a slime of my own.
Yeah, it was a nice little slime. Dragon Quest has great monster design, great character design. It was a design, not this movie specifically, but going back to the beginning of the franchise in the 80s, it was designed visually by Akira Toriyama, the same guy who did Dragon Ball Z.
I see.
At the time, Dragon Ball. They brought him in to do this video game because the Dragon Ball, I believe, was just comics at the time, were so popular, the manga. And so ever since then, the characters in Dragon Quest have all had a Dragon Ball kind of look to them, and the monsters and stuff. So yeah, the monster design, the character design is great. The music's great. It's straight from the game. I like that it was a really big video game twist 30 years ago to realize in the game that you're not the legendary hero. Your son is. That was kind of like
yes.
That was the twist of the game back in the day. That was like, whoa, game hadn't done that before, right?
Yes.
So I mean, it's not as twisty now. 30 years later, you're watching, you're like, oh, okay, that's cool. That's
it's
a nice
twist for me.
Yeah, it's a nice little twist. The movie is just it's thrown off so completely.
Yes.
By the ending. The only thing I could compare it to Lost, where I've never been able to go back and watch Lost again because the ending just threw it all off so badly for me. I would have to compare it to that in a way where I'm never going to fucking watch this movie again.
Don't look at me. I'm not going to watch it again. I'm not going to go out of my way for it.
And it's a shame because if they had not done what they did at the end of this movie, I feel like they could have made this a series. They could have made a Dragon Quest IV movie animated the same way. They could have made a Dragon Quest VI movie, Dragon Quest XI, the one that just came out. That could be a whole series. It's such a fucking long game. So much happens in it.
I agree.
But because of this, I don't want to see another Dragon Quest movie. This poisoned the entire fucking well for me. I won't say I won't play a Dragon Quest game again, but it killed any interest for me in a movie franchise, like just none.
If they want to do a slime spinoff, I will totally watch that. It just is him. None of the other characters, just him getting into some shenanigans.
Just slime, that'll work.
Oh, they also showed a slime king, is that
King Slime. Yep, definitely from the games.
If you guys want to just go ahead and give me the whole family, that would be amazing.
There's Metal Slime also. We saw him briefly.
Just give me a little family of little slimes to snuggle with at night.
Yeah, so, I feel like I made my piece on Dragon Quest Your Story here clear. And the way I feel about it is a shame because, like I said, up until that point, I was basically enjoying what I was watching. I thought animation perfectly good, story, music, voice acting, all perfectly solid little fantasy adventure. But no.
Yes.
Ending ruined it for me.
Yes.
What'd you think? Give me your little quick synopsis, your opinion.
It was good up until then. I mean, if they had just ended it where okay, they defeat Ladia, I would have been fine and everything would have been hunky dory. But they had to throw in that loop in there, and it's I don't want to watch the movie now.
Yeah, I mean I
don't even want to touch it.
They were up for a nice ending. Luca's mom died, but the whole family was back together.
Yes.
Prince Harry came in to help.
Yes.
Bjorn came in to help. The rest of the monsters, the kingdom came in to help. So you had a nice little ending right there,
Yes, if they had just left it like that, I would have probably watched this movie again.
Fade to black. Play triumphant music. All good.
All good. They could have
They could have gone to the next generation. They could have showed Alice having a kid and Luca and Bianca being grandparents,
Okay, here's my ending. Okay, they fight and then, they end it like they start at the beginning with the pixelated thing.
That would have been pretty good. End it like the
I'll
game.
take that.
There
I'll
you go.
take that.
And that would have even been playing into it's a video game thing in a way that's not like offensive and terrible.
And not slapping you in the face.
Yeah, that would have been a great one. That's a really good idea. And after what I just said about it, it feels weird going back and like talking about things I liked in the movie. But I mean,
the slime was for me.
The slime was for you. I liked in the beginning, Laudia puts his scythe to Luca's neck and forces those two monsters to kill Pancras. Scene straight from the game. I like at the end, Luca meets those two monsters again. It's not even a fight. He blows them away, one hit each.
Yes.
Just like this is how much stronger I've become than my father ever was. And that's what the game also did so well. At the end of the game,
yes,
as Luca is not his name in the game, you give him a name, but you're a higher level like character than your father ever was. So you feel like the generation has come up to be like the true generation of heroes, even greater than this great hero you're introduced to at the beginning of the game. The movie does the same thing. Then it doesn't, because it's just a game in the movie.
What did you name your character?
Goodness, I don't remember. I had this weird phase as like a kid where I thought the name Jake was a good name, so I would just name all my RPG characters Jake. So he was probably Jake, I'm gonna say.
Oh, you know what's funny?
What's that?
When the guy, when we see him in the simulator picking out his name, he says about the same thing.
Oh yeah. I always name my characters Luca.
I always name my characters Luca.
Yeah, I don't do it anymore. These days, I mostly is trying to go for what's the actual like in-universe game. Like, for example, I'm replaying Earthbound just right now.
Okay.
When I played it as a kid, I would name the main character Ness Jake. Now I just go with Ness. So it did things real well, but then just kind of blew it, and it gives me a sad, and I do not recommend it.
You guys are missing his very sad face right now.
It is a sad face, and this is coming from someone who's not even that hardcore a fan. If they did a Final Fantasy VI movie that ended like this, I would have thrown our TV out the window. I would have smashed my PS4 with a hammer. I would have burned down the neighborhood. I would have been so mad.
I'm telling you guys, the best part of that movie is the slime.
It's pretty good. The slime is a great Dragon Quest character. We gotta get that plushie.
You gotta get that plushie, man. We gotta get the whole family.
So, anything else to add in about Dragon Quest to your story?
No.
Okay.
I have been waiting to do this conversation. I'm glad we're done. I can move on with my life.
All right. Well, before we wrap up the debut episode of the Trace Anime podcast, let's go through, and each of us will do our number 3 least favorite through number 1 favorite of the 3 films we've discussed today. Let's start with you, Pearl. What is your number 3 least favorite of these 3 films?
Oh, you know what it is. It's Dragon Quest.
Dragon Quest Your Story. Mine is also Dragon Quest Your Story. It filled me with rage. All right. What is your second favorite of the films we've discussed on this podcast?
I want to say my second is probably A Whisker Away.
Okay, tell me why that one's in second place.
I guess what kind of just... It's the girl...
Muge.
Muge is too peppy for me.
It's a little much.
It's a little much.
Can be a little hard. I feel like it's a hard needle to thread. I think Kiki from Kiki's Delivery Service was just the right amount of pep.
She's my girl.
She's your girl. This one, it took it about
100%.
three notches above that.
It was a little too much.
But I'm gonna go with NiNoKuni second place because, like I said, a little generic, little obvious, but I did really enjoy the look of it, and I recommend it just for those the fantasy visuals of it alone.
Yes.
So I guess so that would make NiNoKuni your number 1.
NiNoKuni is my number 1.
Tell me why that's your number 1.
The visuals were beautiful, and some there was, we forgot to mention these cute little characters that Princess Astrid had. They were like little kind of cat characters.
Oh, yeah.
And they kind of had like a Scottish accent, I guess.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
They were pretty sweet,
So you like those little fantasy creatures.
Yes, I do.
Like
they're cool.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go Whisker Away #1. Not to say that it's a masterpiece or anything, but I did like the melding of fantasy and reality, and the escalating plot of her losing her human face, and there's like this there's a time limit on it. She has to get it back before she loses it forever. So I thought that worked. Issues there, but so I'd say that's 2 films that we'll more or less recommend with little issues, and
yes,
1 film that
I just don't think you should watch it. But if
that
you
or
have
watch
to,
it and turn it off the second that
you'll know exactly
the second that someone's about to throw a sword in a portal.
As
Hit that home button on your remote control.
As soon as Alice throws that sword, that's the end of the movie.
Just jam that home button.
It's the end of the movie.
Then just sing to yourself.
It's
Da 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 da.
It's over. It's done. He won. They won. It's great. It's great.
Okay, so that'll about wrap it up, I think, for this debut episode of the podcast.
All right.
Yeah, we'll get back watching some more anime movies, not series, and I think we'll swing back by another time real soon.
I don't know what kind of anime we're gonna watch this time, but I think I have some ideas.
Well, maybe let's go a little classic. Try to steer away from stuff released the last 2 years.
Oh boy. I have some good ones.
Got some ideas. All right. Well, that'll about do it then.
All right.
You folks have a real good evening, or whenever else you might be listening to this.
You have a relaxing day.
That's a good one. All right. Peace out, everyone.
Bye.